talked about the differences between the different countries that produce seed beads, like the Japanese and the Czech Republic and the Chinese and the Taiwanese, all those kinds of things. But even within just the Japanese seed bead manufacturers, there are three, there are differences in those beads themselves that are significant. And the three manufacturers are Miyuki, Matsuno, and Toho. Miyuki seed beads are going to be the skinniest seed beads. They have the most rounded profile, and they're the skinniest. Toho beads are going to be fatter. They're more tubular shaped. They're almost like a cylinder bead, like a Delica or an Aiko or a Treasure, almost like that, but still with the rounded, softly rounded edges. It's just that it's a fatter seed bead. And then the Matsuno seed beads are the most irregular of the Japanese seed beads. They tend to have much more variation in the width of their beads, so you have to do a lot more culling out of the really fat and the really skinny ones. However, and so for that very reason, a lot of people don't use Matsuno at all. But the thing is, Matsuno has some really pretty colors. So as long as you're willing to go ahead and invest a little bit of time in culling out the ones that don't work for your project, the Matsuno beads are perfectly usable. Let me show you what I'm talking about, how that affects your project. I've got some swatches here to show you. These three swatches are all done with size 8 seed beads, and these are three different manufacturers. So here, this is the skinniest one right here. You can see where the seed beads are smaller than all of these other ones here. This is the one that's done with Miyuki seed beads. Here, see how this bead is wider across and it looks almost like a cylinder? That's the Toho brand. And then the really big ones here, they're much fatter and wider in general than these other ones. This is the Matsunos. So just for functional differences, let me show you as I stack these. So here I am stacking the Miyuki on top of the Toho, and you can see where this is a full bead skinnier than the Toho. So the Miyuki is the skinniest. And then I can take that and stack that on top of the Matsunos here, and that is another full seed bead, skinnier. I'm sorry, fatter on the bottom. So you can see where not all size 8 seed beads are created equal. So sometimes you'll be working on a project and you'll start having some sizing issues, and it may just be a difference in the manufacturer that you're using from the one that the designer used. I have actually run into that myself, where occasionally I will make a design, the sizing works perfectly because I'm using, in that case, let's say all Toho seed beads. I send my design out into the world and a bunch of people will start making it and start having some size difficulties. And we'll do some research, we'll kind of boil down the details, and it turns out that it's because they're using a Matsuno seed bead where I'd maybe used a Toho or a Miyuki, and that Matsuno is so much fatter that it's throwing off the sizing. So just know that occasionally that can happen, and if you are having some sizing issues, possibly by changing which manufacturer your seed bead is, that may actually fix the problem for you. So don't be afraid of any of these manufacturers. They're all perfectly fine. And I would say running into those sizing issues, it only happens maybe once in 20 projects. For the most part, those things tends to be interchangeable. But I do like you to know that that happens, because if you do run into a problem, you want to be able to troubleshoot it, right? So now you know what to do. Just try another seed bead. Look at that profile of the seed bead. You can actually take 2 seed beads on a needle or something and put them up, and you can kind of identify which is bigger, which is smaller, and you can adjust your sizing that way. I hope that's helpful to you. Be sure and subscribe on the channel if you're finding lots of information that you like. You don't want to miss out on any of these videos. We need to hang out together. Happy beading!